Let's get one thing absolutely straight before we dive into the mechanics of YouTube. Everyone wants to be a YouTuber. It has become the default dream job for an entire generation. We see creators buying mansions, driving supercars, and living lives of absolute freedom, all seemingly funded by just talking to a camera in their bedroom. Business gurus and online millionaires like Iman Gaji constantly talk about the leverage of an audience, pointing out that attention is the new oil. They make it sound like a mathematical certainty. Just upload videos, wait for the algorithm to bless you, and watch the AdSense money roll into your bank account while you sleep. But if you have ever actually tried to start a YouTube channel from scratch, you already know the terrifying silent reality. The reality where you spend 20 hours writing a script, recording the audio, and meticulously editing the footage, only to hit publish and receive exactly 12 views. And 11 of those views are you refreshing the page. It is a crushing, soul-destroying feeling. I spent an entire year trapped in the desert of 0 views, convinced that the algorithm was broken or that I was just inherently uninteresting. But I wasn't uninteresting, and the algorithm wasn't broken. I was playing the game completely wrong. I was treating YouTube like a personal diary instead of a highly sophisticated search and discovery engine. This is the complete, uncut story of how I finally cracked the code, how I went from 0 to 10,000 subscribers, and the exact blueprint of how I monetized that audience to replace my full-time income. To understand how to reach 10,000 subscribers, you first have to understand the agony of reaching your first 100. When I started my channel, my strategy was entirely based on arrogance. I assumed that because I had good information, people would naturally want to watch my videos. I made 20-minute vlogs about my daily routine and my personal goals. I hit publish and waited for the viral explosion. Nothing happened. Weeks turned into months, and my subscriber count was completely stagnant. I was stuck at 34 subscribers, and the frustration was eating me alive. I realized that nobody cared about my daily routine because nobody knew who I was. Why would a stranger on the internet give 20 minutes of their highly contested attention to a complete nobody? You have to earn the right to be a personality. In the beginning, you cannot rely on your face or your name to drive clicks. You have to rely entirely on the value of the idea you are presenting. I had to stop making content about myself and start making content that solved very specific, highly searched problems for a target audience. I had to stop being a vlogger and start being an architect of value. Instead of a video titled, "My Thoughts on Finance," I made a video titled, "How to Invest Your First $1,000 in 2024. I shifted from ego-centric content to viewer-centric content. And that single psychological shift was the key that unlocked the first door. But having a good idea is only 10% of the battle. The other 90% is understanding the cold, robotic math of the algorithm. The YouTube algorithm does not care about your feelings. It does not care how long you spent editing, and it does not care about your camera quality. It only cares about 2 metrics: click-through rate, CTR, and average view duration, AVD. That is the entire secret to the platform. If you can get people to click on your video, and if you can get them to watch it until the end, YouTube will aggressively push your video to millions of people. It is incredibly difficult to execute. I spent an entire month obsessing over my packaging. Before I even wrote a single word of a script, I would spend 3 hours designing the thumbnail. The thumbnail has to create an intense curiosity gap. It has to make the viewer feel like they are actively losing out on vital information by not clicking. I learned to use high contrast colors, minimal text, and expressive faces. Once I figured out how to get them to click, I had to figure out how to get them to stay. I studied retention graphs like a madman. I realized that the first 30 seconds of a video dictate its entire lifespan. You cannot start a video with a slow, boring intro. You have to immediately hit the viewer with the hook. You have to validate their click within the first 5 seconds. I started cutting out every single second of dead air. I added sound effects, B-roll, and visual changes to reset the viewer's attention span. When I combined a high CTR with strong retention, the algorithm finally woke up. My first real taste of momentum came 6 months into the journey. One of my search-based tutorials hit the algorithm perfectly. I went to sleep with 200 subscribers and woke up with 800. By the end of the week, I had crossed the mythical 1,000 subscriber mark and accumulated the 4,000 watch hours required to join the YouTube Partner Program. I was officially monetized. The day I got accepted, I felt like I had conquered the world. I checked my YouTube Studio app the next morning, expecting to see a massive payout. I had made exactly $2.43. It was a brutal reality check. The internet sells you the dream that hitting 1,000 subscribers and getting monetized via AdSense is the finish line. But AdSense is just pennies. Relying solely on YouTube to pay you for ads placed on your videos is the absolute worst way to monetize an audience. The creators who are actually making life-changing money are not doing it through AdSense. They are doing it through back-end monetization. This is the exact strategy that guys like Iman Gaji preach. Your YouTube channel is not the business. Your YouTube channel is simply the top-of-funnel marketing engine that drives highly qualified traffic to your actual business. Once I understood this, my income skyrocketed. I stopped caring about ad revenue and started building a real monetization ecosystem. I realized that my small audience of 3,000 people was incredibly targeted. So, I created a digital product. I built a comprehensive step-by-step guide and hosted it on Whop, setting the price at $47. I didn't aggressively sell it. I simply mentioned it organically at the end of my videos. Out of every 1,000 people who watched, maybe 2 people would buy. But 2 sales a day at $47 is nearly $3,000 a month. I was making more money with 3,000 subscribers than creators with 100,000 subscribers relying on AdSense. I also started reaching out to software companies to become an affiliate. I was stacking revenue streams. AdSense was paying for my groceries, affiliate marketing was paying my rent, and my digital product sales were going straight into savings. I was building a fortress of income, entirely independent of the YouTube algorithm. Scaling from 3,000 to 10,000 subscribers required a completely different mindset. Getting to 10,000 is about building ruthless consistency and scaling your systems. You cannot rely on spontaneous bursts of motivation. You have to treat your channel like a media company. I created a strict, non-negotiable production schedule. Sundays were for brainstorming ideas, writing titles, and designing thumbnails. Mondays and Tuesdays were for writing scripts, focusing heavily on storytelling and psychological hooks. Wednesdays were for batch recording all the videos in one sitting. Thursdays and Fridays were for editing. By batching my tasks, I eliminated the daily friction. The momentum began to compound. A well-optimized YouTube video works for you forever. My catalog of videos became an army of digital employees working 24/7, funneling viewers into my back-end ecosystem. When I crossed the 10,000 subscriber mark, I didn't throw a massive party. I just sat back and looked at the dashboard. The numbers were impressive, but the real victory was the total financial autonomy I had achieved. I was making over $10,000 a month consistently from a small, highly dedicated audience who trusted me. You do not need to be a global superstar to make a fortune on the internet. You do not need 1 million subscribers. If you have 1,000 people who will buy anything you create, you have a 6-figure business. But to get there, you have to be willing to endure the brutal, silent grind of the beginning. You have to be willing to post videos that get 0 views. Obsess over your thumbnails, your hooks, and your retention. Stop treating your channel like a personal diary and start treating it like a media empire. Build your back-end monetization from day one. The road to 10,000 subscribers is paved with terrible first drafts, embarrassing videos, and countless hours of editing in the dark. But if you can survive the friction of the first year, you will build an asset that will pay you dividends for the rest of your life. Start building your digital real estate today. The algorithm is waiting for your next upload. Subscribe for more life lessons, and see you in the next one.